behind this. I got this a long time ago. It originally came with a pressure washer, and this is the stand for it. I didn't really know what to do with it. The pump was bad. It's only 3.5 horsepower. It's really not much you can do. So it's been finding spiders. It's been just basically their home. But the problem also is that it's a weird crank. It's like a hexagon or maybe octagon to count the sides, but didn't really have a use for it until if anyone saw my mole removal video. The mole did leave for about 2 weeks and then came back, and this time he decided to go into my grass, my new grass, so I'm not going to deal with that. I also don't want to use my older bricks and straton because I kind of want to use that for storage, so I don't want to do it for this purpose. So I figured I don't need this. It's an older one. Got it for free. I'm going to turn this into my mole removal engine. Very few things I think I need to do to it, but there are definitely a couple. We'll have to take a look and see what we have, but yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. So one of the things I know is wrong is that it has very little compression. In fact, so little it doesn't even feel like it does have compression. So before we even get into the carburetor, which I'm sure has to happen if it's okay, I want to see if it's possibly a blown head gasket or it's just a bad motor, stuck valve, no, whatever it could be. Now, I'm under no illusion that this is going to be a real good runner, and I'm also not going to put very much into this, if any, hopefully. So, let's see what happens. I know I looked at the gas earlier when I put it away, and the gas smelled pretty bad. There's actually no gas in there. That's surprising. That wasn't the summertime though, maybe it evaporated. There's a spider in here, probably. Where is he? Maybe he's gone. Okay. Sometimes these head bolts are the different lengths, and this case is true. This one is shorter. So the one by the exhaust is shorter. The rest seem to be about the same size. Now I'm going to hope I can just take it off without having to take off the shroud. Oh, these have little spacers on them too. I don't think I'm going to get that lucky. Oh, maybe. Maybe if I just lift up on the shroud a little bit, maybe bend it a tad. Just a tad. There we go. Head gasket doesn't look horrible. everything's coming up. That's good. And the bore actually feels really nice. Oh, there it is. We have a loose valve. You should not be able to spin this. Or is it just up? It could just be up. So that was the exhaust. So with that one up, it shouldn't be doing anything. Yeah, it's still loose. Okay. Let's do the other one, just in case. Yeah, the intake feels fine. I think I am gonna have to take off this shroud though. And that carb. What is all this? I'm telling you, spiders here are just workaholics. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna take off that shroud and then bring it back. I found him. Huh. Probably more though. So literally 12 spiders later, and that's not an exaggeration. 12. I counted. And trust me, you're asking yourself, oh, they're probably small. Now each of them got progressively bigger. Oh, man. I want to get in this valve cover area. Yeah, we'll probably take off the carb anyway, so it's not nearly as convenient to have to do this, but because we don't know what's going to happen with that gasket. But it's going to be a whole lot easier to replace a gasket than work around it. And I might even have one. Or it might just come off easily. Who knows? Put that off to the side. Assuming this is not a 3/8, so a 5/16. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a spider in here. It's usually at this moment when I am opening this up to pour and polish it, but I don't think I want to have any more efficiency. It's kind of like the purpose of this engine. Let's get a better look. So we're gonna do both just because over time these will get out of, I don't know, spec, I guess, and they'll actually get longer. It's weird, but they do. I'm assuming that constant spring tension just becomes too much for them and they just end up getting bigger. I don't know, I think this is too big for it. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, the other option is to monkey around with it, try to get this to fall off. If I knew where it was, it'd be a lot easier. After a whole lot of monkeying around, finally got it out. Just have to take like a pair of like screwdrivers or pliers and just kind of go in there. I tried this overhead valve tool. It didn't work at all. It's not meant for this purpose. I thought maybe if I put it right here on the side, I can potentially have some magic happen, but no. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean up this exhaust valve. Wait, no, that's the intake. I'm going to clean it up and see what the gap is. I looked it up, and this is supposed to be 5 to 7, and no, 4 to 6, and the other one is supposed to be 5 to 7. Kind of weird numbers, but yeah. Take it on the wire wheel, clean it up, be right back. Got most of it done, but I'm just going to clean up the surface with this wire wheel. Both not wanting to be perfect or expecting it to be perfect, but I just want to get the main mating surfaces cleaned. And that was a brass wire wheel. You don't want to use anything else. This is carb cleaner. You ever question the legitimacy of your automotive store? Sometimes I do, because this is called valve grinding compound or lapping compound or whatever. So I went to my local, I think it was Napa. I was like, I need to get some valve grinding compound. They're like, why would you grind a valve? I'm like, for lapping it. What? I tell you that story to tell you that it's easier just to buy it online. Trust me. You can get several different types of it as well. One fine, one coarse. I think this is the fine one. Maybe it doesn't say. Maybe Permatex just has their own way. But basically, just do this. This tool has two ends on it, one small, one large. And you just do this for a couple minutes. Lift it up every now and then. It can get tedious. On overhead valve, you can actually kind of cheat. Take the head off and put the end of your valve in a drill. But not on this one. What we're looking for is when we're done, we're going to wipe it off very thoroughly. Keyword being very. And we are looking for the thin gray clean line around both the seat, which is the mating surface on the block, and the valve. I think that should be good. Now, I do this before I figure out the valve lash. But if you can see, there might be a few spots that have a little bit of a grime, but it looks pretty good actually. And while yes, I'm aware I did not do the purpose of cleaning, this is a old gas mold killing machine. Now, I'm not condoning this, but the gas that I know is old-ish. Not old, but old-ish. Is probably going to go in here. Oh wow, the intake, except for a little piece right there, actually looks pretty good. That's pretty common. The gas washing over it keeps it nice and clean usually. If you ever forget which one's which, almost always the big one is the intake. If you pay attention, you can kind of hear when you're done. In the beginning it sounds real crunchy, real nasty. Towards the end it starts sounding a lot more fluid. That means you are finished. It's cold outside. I'm gonna put a sweater on. Nah. You know those guys who are walking around in snow with like shorts and a t-shirt, maybe a sweater, and you're like, that guy's crazy. That's me. I was not meant to wear pants. And this one was really good, so I'm not too concerned over it. I know this is probably overkill for this valve. Yeah, that one doesn't look bad at all. Nice gray line all the way around. And if you look at the block and the seat, it looks exactly the same. I don't see any more black. There was a small section of carbon buildup on probably both, really. I saw the majority of it though was on the intake. Of course, the intake was the dirtiest. And if you were going to port, you would port right now, but not going to do that. Now, without the springs in, I am going to try to find my exhaust. Oh, there it is. And, we'll go to the lash. I'm just going to apologize in advance. You're probably not going to see a whole lot, but with you pressing down on top of the valve, you take out your feeler gauge and you find the right one that you want to use. I want, let's try 5 first on the intake. Actually feels pretty good. It could be up to 7, and this is pretty tight. 5 to 7. That's 4 to 6. So this, it's a little hard to lengthen these. Now don't get me wrong, it's not impossible. You could potentially weld like on it and, you know, grind it away, I suppose, but not recommended. So this exhaust needs to be done. So the only real way to do that, I mean, you can do this a lot of ways. How I'm going to do it is I'm going to turn my bench grinder on the fine pad and put the end of the valve on the side of it, pressing very lightly, because you're literally removing thousandths of an inch. So there's attempt number 1. You probably still hear the wheels rolling down. This is 6 thousandths right here. And again, pressing down. It's getting better, but it needs another one. Attempt number 2. Oh yeah, that's good. And this is 6,000, so this is... I could potentially even go a little bit more, really, but I'm pretty fine with that. Yeah, actually, maybe I will just do a kiss on it. Okay, so that was good. Feel pretty nice about that. One thing you also should do, you should spin it. And just to see if your valve is bent. I don't suspect that, but it's a good habit to get into. There we go. Now, you want to remove small amounts. It's easier to put, go back than it is to add to it, as I said. But you also want to grind evenly. You don't want to have one end longer than the other because you use like the round end of your stone. So I'm going to put the valve springs back on, the cover back on, and we'll put the head on and we'll work on the carb. Oddly enough, this tool worked for putting the springs back in, so that's good. That makes that a lot easier. Boom. Maybe straighten it out a little bit. There we go. But this is a part number of 19063. I'm pretty sure it's for Briggs & Stratton officially, but I've done flathead Hondas, I've done flathead, obviously other Tecumsehs. That's what this is, a Tecumseh. And pretty much any flathead seems to be working. I'm sure if I just didn't do this right, the reason why I can take it off, maybe the adjustment was wrong. Each spring is a little bit of a different. You also don't want to mix these up. This one's probably the same spring, but just in case, just kind of keep them separated. Okay, there we go. Put the cover on. So keeping in mind, I don't want to be spending a lot on this. This is just copper silicone. I'm putting a very light dabbing all over where the head gasket would go, just to kind of help seal it up as much as possible. It's not very even right now, but I'll just smooth it out with our finger. This is just going to help seal it, and ideally I just get a new head gasket, but it's an old Tecumseh of all things, so one, that's not going to be easy to find. Two, that's definitely not going to be cheap. And remembering what this engine is, I'm fine with using copper silicone. I think it got a little heavy there, but I'll wipe it off. Your main concern is just not getting it in the valves and the head. Or excuse me, the valves and the piston. Okay. I cleaned the head already. So, let's take our short one that we know about. Oh, those had little spacers. Well, the bolts are over there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Where are those little spacers? There we go. Ever find it odd when someone can't find something, like, oh, where was it? Like, oh, it was the last place I looked. Like, well, no, duh. When have you ever heard this conversation? Have you ever found your reading glasses? Oh yeah, I found them last week, but I'm still looking for them. And speaking of weird stuff, do you ever just think about the laziness of the word fireplace? I'm not going to tighten these very much. I want the silicone to set up a little bit. It's like, what do we call this magical place that burns wood if we are home? I don't know. It's a place and you put fire there. Fireplace. Brilliant. Now one more. Oh, that got a little tight, but that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna take the carb over to the carb station and we'll be ready to go. I don't want to risk, I don't think I'm gonna get lucky twice with the gasket, so I'm not gonna take this off. But let's see what the bowl looks like. The bowl doesn't look bad. We'll probably just blow out the jets because there's not a adjustable anywhere in here. A little gooey. It's definitely not bad. Let's take a look at this. There's no gasket. There's usually like a little O-ring. Huh. Maybe that's why there's no fuel leaked out. I think I have another one now. The seal feels good. This is actually a pretty decent little carb. You know what? I think I'm just going to blow it out. Put some carb cleaner in there. Find an O-ring for that. It looks like there was a kit put in here, to be honest. I mean, that wouldn't be there. These have a feel of cheap. Probably blow that out. This is a new-ish bowl seal too. I think the old ones were actually brown. I could be wrong on that one though. But I'm gonna go ahead and just blow it out, clean that out, and put it back on, and we'll see if she will run. Okay, this is a moment of truth. Put everything back together, put everything, has fuel, it has... I didn't have an air filter though. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have an air filter, I'm just saying it has the old one, so... And it does have oil, it's pretty black, but I want to see if it runs before I even put any oil in it. So right now I think I'm total of like 10, 20 cents. Spiders. Where is the Carburetor? Oh, here we go. And we are turning it on. Let's check the plug. I did spray a little bit of carb cleaner down it when I was cleaning, so maybe I can find my correct size. Here we go. Maybe it became fouled. It's a little wet. Let's see if it has spark. There's spark. Could also be that the fact that it's just not going to be a good motor anyway, so that'd be unfortunate, but I suppose it happens. Do that. See what happens. I might have to go back in and finish the carb tomorrow. So it's getting late. There are places to go. More throttle. I may not have tightened the head bolts down all the way, maybe, because I think I saw them come up. I thought I did. Good, I thought they were stripped for a second. I should be using a torque wrench, I know, but I'm not doing it super tight. Try that again. That's good. I think I poured roughly a quarter of a tank in there. I think I'm going to leave it be and order another filter for it and change the oil. It's good that you run it before because it gets all the crap that's in there anyway out of it. I think it's pretty good. Like I said, if you haven't seen my mold killing video, watch that. This is going to replace the old red one. Those old bricks. Now it's going to be old Tecumseh. Except this time's going to be a lot easier. It has a stand. And a better pull start. Okay, well, hope everyone liked it. Definitely throw a thumbs up if you did. I will see everyone tomorrow. Have a good day. Subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.